Today on Final Moments, we remember the voices that shaped music, the minds that redefined justice, and the visionaries who changed the way we see the world. From the pioneers of punk to the architects of our cities, their legacies live on. Stay with us as we honor their stories. And if you appreciate these tributes, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us in remembering those who left their mark on history. Number 1. Brian James. The punk world has lost a legend on March 6, 2025. Brian James, the pioneering guitarist and co-founder of The Damned, has passed away at the age of 70. A true trailblazer, he gave us New Rose, the first ever British punk single, a song that kick-started a movement and influenced countless musicians. Brian James wasn't just a guitarist, he was the sound of early British punk. He wrote nearly all the songs on The Damned's groundbreaking debut album Damned, 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 released in 1977. With raw energy and unrelenting attitude, he set the stage for generations of punk musicians to come. After contributing to the band's second album, Music for Pleasure, Brian left The Damned, but his musical journey was far from over. He went on to form Tons Der Youth, then joined forces with Stiff Baiters to create the Lords of the New Church, a band that blended punk and gothic rock into something uniquely powerful. His influence stretched far beyond the UK. In 1993, Guns N' Roses paid homage to Brian's legacy by covering New Rose on the Spaghetti Incident, introducing his songwriting to a whole new audience. In 2022, Brian James reunited with the Damned's original lineup for a series of emotional and electrifying shows. Captain Sensible, his longtime bandmate, called him the Riffmeister, a testament to his relentless creativity and unforgettable sound. Despite decades of shaping punk and rock music, Brian remained humble. He once said, "I count myself lucky to have been in the right place at the right time in the company of people with a similar attitude. That attitude, that fire, never faded." With his wife Minna, son Charlie, and daughter-in-law Alicia by his side, Brian passed away peacefully. Number 2. Pamela Bach. Following the legacy of Brian James, another name that left a mark in Hollywood was Pamela Bach. Pamela Bach's journey in Hollywood was one of resilience, talent, and perseverance. Born Pamela Weisenbach in Tulsa, Oklahoma, she grew up in a family that embraced creativity. Her mother was a model, and Pamela herself followed in those footsteps before stepping into acting. After studying both engineering and theater arts at Northeastern Oklahoma A&M College, she took a leap of faith and moved to Los Angeles in 1985, setting her sights on the entertainment industry. Her first big break came unexpectedly when legendary director Francis Ford Coppola cast her in Rumblefish 1983. From there, she carved out a steady career in television, appearing in popular shows like Cheers, TJ Hooker, and The Fall Guy. She was also one of the rare actors to work on 2 series simultaneously, splitting her time between Baywatch and Sirens in the 90s. Her work in Baywatch was particularly memorable, not just because of the show's cultural impact, but because she was an accredited lifeguard and trained scuba diver in real life, bringing an authenticity to the role that few could match. Beyond her professional success, Pamela was known for her personal connection to David Hasselhoff. They met on the set of Knight Rider and were married for nearly 2 decades, raising 2 daughters, Taylor Ann and Haley Hasselhoff. While their relationship had its challenges, they both remained dedicated parents to their children. Pamela's love for her family was evident, especially in her later years when she openly expressed her joy at becoming a grandmother. Pamela's final years were quieter, but she remained active in the industry and in the lives of those she loved. Her last public messages, particularly her heartfelt New Year's post, reflected a woman who was still hopeful, still grateful, and still embracing life's moments. Her passing on March 5th, 2025 at the age of 61 was a heartbreaking end to a life that had given so much to the entertainment world. While the circumstances surrounding her death are tragic, it's important to remember Pamela for the vibrant, talented woman that she was. A performer, a mother, a friend. She left behind a legacy that will continue through her work and the people who loved her. Number 3. Ricardo Scofidio. But the spotlight isn't just for actors. In a different world, one of concrete, glass, and vision, another name was making its mark, not on the screen, but in the spaces we live and breathe. Architecture is about challenging the way we see and experience the world. Few architects embody this philosophy as profoundly as Ricardo Scofidio. On March 6, 2025, at the age of 89, we lost a visionary whose work reshaped the urban landscape and redefined what architecture could be. Born in 1935 in New York City, Scofidio's early life was shaped by a love for design and a deep understanding of how space affects behavior. His teaching career at Cooper Union influenced generations of architects, instilling in them the same curiosity and critical thinking that defined his own work. Scofidio, alongside his wife and partner Elizabeth Diller, founded Diller Scofidio plus Renfro in 1979. What started as an experimental practice in a small East Village studio evolved into one of the world's most influential architecture firms. But their approach was never about following the rules, it was about questioning them. One of his most celebrated projects, the High Line, transformed an abandoned railway into a floating urban park. More than just a repurposed space, it became an invitation to slow down, to observe, to connect with the city in a new way. Scofidio's vision wasn't about making architecture that shouted for attention, it was about making spaces that revealed something deeper. His work at Lincoln Center was equally bold. A sloping grass roof turned into a social space, a glass cutaway in the Juilliard School building exposed the life inside. These weren't just aesthetic choices, they were statements on transparency, accessibility, and the fluidity between public and private space. But his impact wasn't just confined to New York. His design spanned the globe, from Moscow to London to China. Each project a conversation between art, technology, and the people who would inhabit them. Number 4. Bonney. While Ricardo was busy making an impact on the architectural world, a young woman barely out of her teens was capturing the magic of baseball in her song, Bonney. In an era when swing filled the airwaves and baseball ruled America's heart, one voice soared above the brass and strings whose silky tones immortalized Joe DiMaggio's legendary hitting streak. Bonney has passed away at the age of 100. Born Betty Jane Bonney in 1924 in Bridgeport, Connecticut, she was a child prodigy coaxed into singing for change at just 5 years old. But what began as a necessity quickly became a passion. By her teenage years, she was a seasoned vocalist performing with regional bands until fate called in 1941. At just 17, she stepped into a spotlight previously held by Doris Day, joining Les Brown and his orchestra just in time for history to unfold. That summer, as the New York Yankees' Joe DiMaggio stunned the baseball world with his 56 game-winning streak, the band couldn't help but be swept up in the excitement. A catchy, celebratory tune was penned, Joltin Joe DiMaggio, and it was Betty's voice that carried it into legend. Night after night, she sang it with grace and energy as the crowd cheered along. Win Golden of the Central New Jersey Home News wrote of her performance, "It's not just her voice that puts over a song," and indeed, Betty had a way of making music more than sound. She made it an experience. Her career spanned decades, and she adapted as the entertainment world changed. She toured with Broadway productions, recorded for RCA, and even reinvented herself. When bandleader Sammy Kaye took her under his wing in 1950, she became Judy Johnson, a name she would keep for the rest of her career. Under this name, she graced the iconic television screens of Your Show of Shows along with Sid Caesar, performed in clubs, and worked closely with music greats like Judy Garland and Mev Griffin. Betty Bonney, or Judy Johnson, left behind a voice that echoes throughout time. Whether swinging with a big band, crooning on the airwaves, or charming audiences in packed theaters, she carried a piece of America's musical soul with her. And although now she takes her final bow, her song and her spirit will indefinitely live on. Number 5. L. Clifford Davis. From Betty Bonney's legacy, we move to another centenarian, L. Clifford Davis, a champion for justice who played a crucial role in the fight for civil rights. Justice, equality, and courage. These are the words that define the life and legacy of L. Clifford Davis, a man who refused to accept the barriers placed before him and instead spent a lifetime tearing them down, died at the age of 100 on February 15, 2025. Born in 1924 in segregated Arkansas, Davis understood early on that education was the key to opportunity. But opportunity wasn't given, it had to be fought for. He applied to the University of Arkansas Law School in 1947. The response? A conditional acceptance. He could attend, but he wouldn't be allowed in classrooms, the library, or even restrooms with white students. Davis refused. Instead, he earned his law degree from Howard University. Back in the South, Davis didn't just practice law, he made history. In Texas, he fought for desegregation, winning cases that forced public schools in Mansfield and Fourth Ward to integrate. These victories didn't come without resistance, threats, mobs, and even the Texas governor refusing to intervene. But Davis never backed down. In 1983, Davis reached another milestone when he was appointed as a judge in Tarrant County, a first for a black man in the region. He held the position for decades, ensuring fairness and justice for all. L. Clifford Johnson once said, "It's our job to use the principles of law to help bring about equality and opportunity for all people, not just black people." And that's exactly what he did. His dedication took him from the courtroom to the bench. In 1983, he was appointed a judge, serving for over 2 decades and shaping the future of Texas law. In 2017, justice finally came full circle. The University of Arkansas awarded Davis an honorary degree, one that he was denied 71 years earlier. Number 6. Jennifer Johnston. Moving on from hard-earned justice and equality, we move to someone who wove it into stories that changed the world. Jennifer Johnston, one of Ireland's most celebrated novelists. Her works captured history, family, and identity with quiet brilliance. Today, we take a look at the life and legacy of this remarkable writer. Born in Dublin on January 12, 1930, Jennifer Johnston came from a creative household. Her father, Dennis Johnson, was a playwright, and her mother, Sheila Richards, was an actress and director. With a childhood surrounded by stories, it was no surprise that Jennifer would find her own voice in literature. Jennifer didn't publish her first novel until she was in her 40s. The Captains and the Kings 1972 set the stage for a career that spanned decades. A year later, How Many Miles to Babylon cemented her reputation as a powerful storyteller. Johnston's writing often explored Anglo-Irish identity, class struggles, and the lasting effects of war. She wasn't afraid to tackle difficult themes, from political violence in Shadows on Our Skin to the Irish War of Independence in The Old Jest, which later became the film The Dawning. Throughout her career, Johnston received numerous accolades, shortlisted for the Booker Prize, winner of the Whitbread Book Award, and in 2012, honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award. Irish President Michael D. Higgins praised her work for its deep and meaningful examination of identity and history.